G'day. So I'm just going to read you a couple of stories of the very well-known Australian stories I thought that you would enjoy. So the first one is Possum Magic by Mem Fox. And I hope that you may have heard of some of the animals in this book. So let's start. Okay. Once upon a time, but not very long ago, deep in the Australian bush lived two possums. Their names were Hush and Grandma Poss. Grandma Poss made bush magic. She made wombats blue and kookaburras pink. She made dingoes smile and emus shrink. But the best magic of all was the magic that made Hush invisible. What adventures Hush had! Because she couldn't be seen, she could be squashed by koalas. You see, koala sitting on her tail. Because she couldn't be seen, she could slide down kangaroos. Because she couldn't be seen, she was safe from snakes, which is why Grandma Poss made her invisible in the first place. But one day, quite unexpectedly, Hush said, "Grandma, I want to know what I look like. Please could you make me visible again?" "Of course I can," said Grandma Poss, and she began to look through her magic books. She looked into this book and she looked into that. There was magic for thin and magic for fat, and magic for tall and magic for small, but the magic she was looking for wasn't there at all. Grandma Poss looked miserable. "Don't worry, Grandma," said Hush. "I don't mind." But in her heart of hearts, she did. All night long, Grandma Poss thought and thought. The next morning, just before breakfast, she shouted, "It's something to do with food! People food! Not possum food! But I can't remember what. We'll just have to try and find it." So later that day, they left the bush where they'd always been to find what it was that would make Hush sing. They ate Anzac biscuits in Adelaide, Mornay and Minties in Melbourne, steak and salad in Sydney, and pumpkin scones in Brisbane. Hush remained invisible. "Don't lose heart," said Grandma Poss. "Let's see what we can find in Darwin." It was there in the far north of Australia that they found a Vegemite sandwich. Grandma Poss crossed her claws and crossed her feet. Hush breathed deeply and began to eat. "A tail, shouted both possums at once, for there it was, a brand new visible tail. Later on a beach in Perth, they ate a piece of pavlova. Hush's legs appeared, and so did her body. "You look wonderful, you precious possum," said Grandma Poss. "Next stop, Tasmania." And over the sea they went. In Hobart, late one night, in the kitchens of the casino, they saw a lamington on a plate. Hush closed her eyes and nibbled. Grandma Poss held her breath and waited. It worked, she cried. And she was right. Hush could be seen from head to tail. Grandma Poss hugged Hush and they both danced. "Here we go round the lamington plate till early in the morning." From that time onwards, hush was visible. But once a year on her birthday, she and Grandma Poss ate a Vegemite sandwich, a piece of pavlova, and half a lamington, just to make sure that hush stayed visible forever. And she did. And that's the end of the story. That's the first one. I thought you might like. And the next one is one of my absolute favourites, called Wombat Stew. Let me read that one. And this one's by Marsha Vaughan. So a very big one. Here we go. One day, on the banks of a billabong, a very clever dingo caught a wombat and decided to make wombat stew. Wombat stew. Gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy wombat stew. Platypus came ambling up the bank. Good day, Dingo, he said, snapping his bill. What is that water for? I'm brewing up a gooey, chewy stew for that fat wombat, replied Dingo with a toothy grin. If you ask me, said Platypus, the best thing for a gooey stew is mud. Big blops of billabong mud. Blops of mud? Dingo laughed. What a good idea. Righty-o, in they go. So Platypus scooped up big blobs of mud with his tail and he tipped them into the billy can. Around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sang, Wombat stew, wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, wombat stew. Waltzing out from the shade of the ironbarks came Emu. She arched her graceful neck over the brew. Ho, ho, Dingo, she fluttered. What have we have here? Gooey, chewy wombat stew, boasted Dingo. If only it was a little more chewy, she sighed. But don't worry, a few feathers will set it right. Feathers? Dingo smiled. That would be chewy, righty-o, in they go. So into the gooey brew, Emu dropped her finest feathers. Around and around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sang, Wombat stew, crunchy, munchy, for my lunchy, wombat stew. Old Blue-tongued the lizard came sliding off his sun-soaked stone. Silly Dingo, he hissed. There's no flies in this stew. Can't be wombat stew without crunchy flies in it. And he stuck out his bright blue tongue. There's a lot to be said for flies, agreed Dingo, rubbing his paws together. Righty-o, in they go. So Lizard snapped 100 flies from the air with his long tongue and flipped them into the gooey, chewy stew. Around and around and around the bubbling billy, Dingo danced and sang. Wombat stew, crunchy munchy, for my lunchy, wombat stew. Up through the red dust popped Echidna. Wait a minute, not so fast, he bristled, shaking the red dust from his quills. Now I've been listening to all this advice, and take it from me. For a munchy stew, you need slugs and bugs and creepy crawlies. Dingo wagged his tail. Why, I should have thought of that. Righty-o, in they go. So Echidna dug up all sorts of creepy crawlies and dropped them into the gooey, chewy, crunchy stew. The very clever Dingo stirred and stirred, all the while singing, Wombat stew, hot and spicy, oh so nicey, wombat stew. Just then, the sleepy-eyed koala climbed down the scribbly gum tree. "Oh, look here," he yawned. "Every bush cook knows you can't make a spicy stew without gum nuts." "Ha! Leave it to a koala to think of gum nuts," Dingo laughed and licked his whiskers. "Rightio, in they go." And into the gooey, chewy, crunchy, munchy stew, koala shook lots and lots of gum nuts. "Aha!" cried Dingo. "Now my stew is missing only one thing." "What's that?" asked the animals. "That fat wombat." "Wait, stop. Hang on, Dingo, you can't put that wombat into the stew yet." "Why not?" "You haven't tasted it." "Rightio, I'll taste it." And that very clever Dingo bent over the billy and took a great big slurp of stew. "I'm poisoned," he yelled. "You've all tricked me." And he dashed away deep into the bush, never ever again to sing "Wombat stew, wombat stew, gooey, brewy, yummy, chewy, wombat stew." And that's the end of the story. Hope you enjoy it.